Hi, my name is Agbaw-Ebai. I'm editor-in-chief of the Cameroon Concord News Group, and I will be presenting to you an interview with the chairman of the Southern Cameroon Governing Council, Seseku Tabe Ayuk, live in London. 11 months ago, teachers and lawyers from Southern Cameroon came together and created what we now know as the Cameroon Anglophone Civil Society Consortium. They made a series of demands and forced them on the Biya Francophone Petit on the regime. Biya and his government refused to comply. 11 months after, they've created a governing council headed by Seseku Julius Ayuk. Live in London, I'm now with the leader. Thank you very much for your time, Seseku. Let me begin by asking you, why are we in this struggle?
Thank you for having me. We are in this struggle because we want to correct a mistake. We want to correct a 56-year-old mistake. We want to correct an injustice that has been done to our forefathers. We want to correct an injustice that has been done to our people. And as I start by taking the quote, Thomas Jefferson's quote that our parliamentarian Wilbur aptly used in November when he said, when injustice is law, resistance becomes a duty. We are resisting, and we will resist until we restore our own nation.
I don't know how to address you. Am I going to address you interim prime minister, or am I going to address you leader of the governing council?
I am the chairperson of the governing council of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia United Front.
Yeah, I mean, Cameroon Concord News did a Vox Populi, and some people don't buy into the independence, the complete independence of the territory. Some say they are for federalism, others say they want some sort of decentralization policy to be implemented. Why is it that you as a leader opted for a complete independence and liberation of Southern Cameroon?
Okay, if history is anything to go by, let me start by the camp of the ones you called, you said some form of decentralization. We call them the nationalists. They are the ones who say the way it is the way it has to be. We believe that most of such people are knocked off by fear, and some of them are pulled in that direction by sheer greed. Because if you go down the decentralization policy, it is 21 years old since Mr. Paul Biya signed the decentralization policy. We know 21 years later that nothing has happened. So that knocks them completely out already. But we understand out of selfish reasons that they want to stay. Our struggle is not for any individual. It's something for the people. That's what keeps us going every day. Now the federalist argument, they are the ones who have driven their argument by some call for a dialogue, which again, 10 months later, Mr. Biya manifests his bad faith continuously and consistently. He said on the 31st of January, 31st of December, that Cameroon is one and indivisible. And to show that this is his only stand, he has kept on that path. He has not done anything to manifest any interest at all. So the federalists, I think by the day, the good thing is that time is playing in our advantage. It's playing to our favor. Nobody knew we'll be here 8 months ago. As a matter of fact, even Mr. Biya and his cronies believed that this was just a storm that was going to pass like a tsunami very briefly and go away. But it's turning out to be a very long wait. This wave is not going to go away anytime soon. So that's why we believe that every passing day now, and because of the negative attitude, because of the display of bad faith of Mr. Biya and the people around him, more people are jumping into our own bandwagon every day. And that's why we know that our train is not going to stop.
Seseku, some people deep within the Biya regime are arguing that schools must resume because it is the right of every child to acquire or to have education. And on the side of the governing council, you in the communique which you signed, supported by the consortium, said schools should remain closed.
Number one, school is not education. Education is acquiring knowledge. Our school students have not been acquiring knowledge in the last so many years. That must be remembered as a trigger of this crisis. Our parents did not take their children out of school because they didn't like the size of the classroom. No. They took their children out of classroom because the children were being untaught at the very least. You cannot have a French-speaking person come to class to teach geography to our children. That doesn't make sense anywhere. We now have more bilingual schools in Southwest region than the whole of the Francophone region put together. We have more bilingual schools in Northwest region than the whole of the Francophone region put together. That's a deliberate attempt to wipe off a people's educational system. So we have to always remember why we got into this fight in the first place. And until that situation is redressed, we will not change our stand. And because 10 months later we will not realize that that situation cannot be redressed, that's why some of the people who are in our camp now were fervent federalists a few months back. But you have to ask yourself, are you learning from everyday's experience? If you say yes, then we must all agree that 9 months later, Mr. Paul Biya has displayed such bad faith that the only option available to us now is separation. I said it before and I'm saying it now. When we sit to negotiate, hopefully someday he would come to his senses and want us to sit down to discuss. When we do that, we will no more be talking about a federal system. Those options have left the table. The only options available to us now are sitting at the table to negotiate the terms of separation.
Mr. Chairman, there is this other issue of, let's say Mr. Biya comes up now to say, let's negotiate.
Yes.
There are some people, a lot of talks have been waking about who do you talk to. There's a governing council, Southern Cameroon Ambassador Governing Council, which you are chairman. Yeah. There are other, the SCNC, there's so many groups.
Okay.
How do you bring these groups? What are efforts being made by you to bring all of these groups to read from the same script?
Number one, SCNC is a founding member of SCACOF. SCAPO is a founding member of SCACOF. SCYL is a founding member of SCACOF. The Republic of Ambazonia, these are founding members of SCACOF. AGC is a founding member of SCACOF. We're doing everything in my capacity as chairman. I'm continuously bringing many people to join this our bandwagon, which is a good thing. However, we must remember that, of course, the consortium is a founding member of SCACOF. So, the SCACOF is as a governing council, we are a united front of all, most, if not all, the initial movements. We recognize that, but we also must remember that these groups have their articles of association, they have their principles in which the way they operate. So we respect that. But for people to talk about legitimacy or anything of the sort, for who the government should talk to when they eventually wake up from their slumber and want to talk to somebody, we have made some conditions very clear. Number one, we will not even entertain any conversation if Mancho BBC is still in jail. Number two, we will not entertain any conversation if Penn Terence is still in jail. Number three, we will not entertain any conversation if everybody who was arrested in the case of this is in jail. And why do I say everybody? Because we are preparing a list. We already have a long list of people who have been in jail because of this. And make no mistake, we are not talking about Kondengi. We're talking about everybody who has disappeared as a result of this. Yesterday I made a statement and I asked for parents to continue to fill up that list. Help us to update that list. But the list we have now has prisoners in Boya, has prisoners in Buda, has prisoners all across the region. We have a long list of people in prisons. And so what we're asking Mr. Paul Biya and his team is to go online and see that list we have already published and tick the names of everybody. When those people, we see all of them outside, then we are ready to discuss. That's the first step. In the event where we don't see all those people, and it happens to be, unfortunately, those that they have killed, they have to own up and announce to the world that we are sorry we killed these ones. At that stage, because we know they cannot bring them back, that's the number one step about how do you redress that situation. But when all these conditions have been met, we go to the next step of accepting to have a discussion with them. And the terms for those discussions, again, we have been very clear about what we will do. Number one, those discussions cannot happen in Cameroon. The lessons of January are very vivid in our minds, and we are not naive. Those discussions cannot happen without the intermediary of a third party, credible third party. We have proposed the United Nations, we've proposed the African Union, We have proposed Great Britain, United Kingdom, as the people who got us into this mess. We have proposed France as the people who are on the other side. So we are very clear about this. As a matter of fact, we have proposed Nigeria. So these are the 5 organizations, countries and organizations we've asked to be at the table. We want this to be a level playing field, and I can explain why each of them, but for the purpose of this conversation, those are the players that will be. That's on the mediation side. On our side, we are saying that we would have Mancho BBC, Ayuk Abine, Barrister Agbaw-Ebai, Dr. Fontemniba, and the members of the governing council. I didn't say executive council, the members of the governing council. It would not end there, because we are going for a redress of this situation and a reparation. What we are going to include on our side is our legal experts and technical experts to help us to understand the depth of what exists now and how to share it.
From this brilliant submission which you've just made here, it is evidently clear that Mr. Biya is not going to accept. Mr. Biya is fighting for his political survival. I mean, this so-called revolution, as we now say, has rocked his boat. So he's not going to negotiate. Children are out of school already. What future plans do you have for these children who are out of school?
Don't be too sure when you say that Mr. Biya is not ready to negotiate. Pressure will come to bear, and we believe in the first case that this struggle is divinely ordained for 2017. And so, as much as we do everything, we count on God to see us through this struggle. And so, whether he's fighting for his political struggle or survival, that's his cup of tea. Where we stand now, we are fighting to restore our nation. The injustice has been done for 56 years, and we have come to terms that enough is enough. We are going one way. Where he's going is very inconsequential to us, is where we are going, and we are very resolute where we are going. So, talk about the school. Only yesterday, we had 3 apps that have been developed. 3 computer applications that came out yesterday from our team. Those apps led by an application we call the iTech. We are going to download almost all the content available as a shareware from the best universities. I'm sure you know, and without publicity, Khan Academy, the whole suite of Khan Academy has been packaged into our technology suite. We are going to make these technologies available to our children. As we speak, they will be able to download them on their mobile phones. And then even when you take off internet, as we assume, as we already hear they are about to do, our children will still be able to study in the comfort of their homes. They will study using the technology available with their phones. So we're very conscious. In the last 8 months, we have got amazing people, Southern Cameroonians who have just volunteered their time, and we are preparing a lot of things at the background. Parents must be reassured. The quality of education we are going to give our children is going to be 21st century education. We are going to take them, they are going to step so fast ahead. If a young Southern Cameroonian could win the Google Global competition at a time when, out of their wickedness, they are already cut off internet, what can we do when we provide it to them 24/7? That's the nation we are preparing for our children and our children's children. It's not just the injustice, it's also the vision, it's the dream we have to make a nation out of some place. It is a miracle that countries like Singapore, those countries, Malaysia, they came from nowhere, and today they are sprouting. We think that is a leadership crisis. So while we understand that in Cameroon, the person from the Central Province or the East Province can come and say they are also disfavored. Our own is beyond marginalization. We are people whose way of life is being extinct completely. They've taken us down a road. If we don't stand up and fight for what is ours, tomorrow you will not recognize our people. We have no culture, no value. Is it not a shame that you go to Manfred Hospital and the doctor is speaking to you in French? You and me come from Manfred. How many people in the Manfred authority speak English? Except this camouflage has done lady, we hear that DOs have been appointed. But should we ask for this? Is it not a right of ours that the Legion commander in Manfred should be speaking to us? How do you resolve people's cases when every time people open your door you speak to them in French? The Procureur General, the Procureur in Manfei is a Francophone boy. The justices in court, Francophones. How do you expect that to happen? It can never be the same. We will not accept that. We will rule ourselves, and we have a lot of volunteers. People have come up with great ideas. We're building this, and for people who think we are naive, oh no, we will hit the ground running, because the amount of material we have already acquired now is such that if you call us tomorrow and say this is the moment has come, we will run that nation. It will be like a train on right wheels.